Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video and welcome to episode 13 of Gearing for Dungeoneering. This time we're going to focus on another healer, but we're going up one level in terms of armor, and that means in this episode we'll be covering the Restoration Druid. So without further ado, let's get started. So as of right now, this Restoration Druid definitely comes short in terms of gear, with a few random pieces and nothing that's really purpose built for healing. And like the Healing Priest, we won't do a DPS test, but to compare our current gear with our soon-to-be upgraded gear, we'll see just how much our healing spells will do. So, currently, our Regrowth hits for about 1600 healing, Rejuvenation ticks for 423 healing, Wild Bloom does 72 healing per tick, and the final heal of Wild Bloom offers 706 healing. Definitely not that great, but we'll fix that right now. So, as always, let's work our magic, and there we go. That's much better. Alright, let's see what we have for our Restoration Druid, shall we? Starting off with the Druidic Helmet of Second Sight. Now, for the Priest, I decided not to go for the Second Sight variant, and that is because you have to invest a lot of money for the Flying Mount, and the green item I showed was still pretty decent with those 3 sockets where you can put some pure healing gems in there. However, for the Druid, here's the thing. You don't need to buy 225 writing skill, which is about 800 gold, to do this quest. Druids get flying form at 150 writing skill. So basically, you don't have to sink in a lot of money to get this item. And while it's not hugely better than the green item we covered, because you don't need to buy flying skill, you can just get there with your flying form, I'd still recommend this one. It is slightly better, and just look at the stats. It has 12 stamina, 15 intellect, 24 crit rating, 35 damage and healing, 4 mana every 5 seconds, 3 sockets, and a socket bonus of 5 spell damage and healing. And I slapped some pure healing gems in there like I always do, and that is 74 healing and 50 damage done, so that is pretty darn nice. So that's what I would recommend for the headpiece. The necklace is going to be the Sethic Oracle's Focus with 19 intellect, 35 healing, 12 damage done, and 8 mana every 5 seconds. Covered this before in the Healing Priest episode, and that's because it's just really good. It's kind of on par with what you get out of Heroics in terms of blue items, and it's also fairly easy to get. So once again, it is back for a good reason. It's a really nice necklace. Now for the shoulders, we're also going with the same item I recommended for my Healing Priest, and that is the Destroyer's Mantle. 12 stamina, 12 intellect, 8 spirit, 9 crit rating, spell crit rating of course, and 35 damage and healing. So again, not a healing purpose built item. But even with leather items, I tried to search high and low, but there just wasn't anything that was really good for healers in terms of leather gear that you can get through quests. So we also have to resort to this one in regards to our shoulder item. But even if you take away the damage, it's still 35 healing with a crit rating, a little bit of spirit, so it's still pretty darn nice for a freshly dinked level 70 druid. The cloak is also going to be the same, the Diviner's Cloak, 15 intellect, 13 stamina, 35 healing, 12 damage, and 5 mana every 5 seconds. Fair amount of healing on a green cloak, so definitely nice. Bit of MP5, which again for druids it's also not ideal. They prefer to have spirit. But still, you can't really complain with a cloak like this. It's pretty good and it will definitely help you in healing. The chest, however, is going to be different than the Healing Priest, and that's because we found a purpose-built healing leather chest piece, which is the Life Warden's Breastplate. 25 intellect, 27 stamina, 28 spirit, 64 healing done, and 22 damage. So this has Restoration Druid written all over it. It has everything we want. Intellect, stamina, fair amount of spirit, nice amount of healing done, so definitely a great item. It's also not super hard to get, so I definitely recommend you to get this for your Restoration Druid in regards to the chest piece. Moving on to the wrist, once again we're going back to the same item we used for our Healing Priest. Golden Vine Wraps, 19 stamina, 13 intellect, 13 spirit, 29 healing done, 10 damage done, and we went with these because again there's very limited amount of choice when it comes to healing bracers that you can get out of questing, so we're gonna have to resort to this one. And even though it's cloth, it doesn't really matter that much because armor is not that important when we're healing, and they're still pretty good, so I recommend you to get those. Moving on to the weapons. First off, the Staff of the Redeemer, 45 intellect, 27 stamina, 194 healing done, 65 damage done, and 10 mana every 5 seconds. And on top of that, these pretty badass looks. I mean, I said it before in the Healing Priest episode, but this staff just looks absolutely amazing. However, this is part of the Cipher of Damnation quest chain, so if that isn't out yet, I do have a few alternatives for you guys. And the first alternative is going to be a combination of a dagger and an offhand. Yes, we've also covered this in the Healing Priest episode, but we're going to go over it right now too. Starting off with the Azure Lightblade, 12 spirit, 13 intellect, 18 stamina, 143 healing done, and 48 damage done. So it's a really nice dagger, not super hard to get. It also looks pretty badass too with that kind of glowing animation. So nice dagger to have. Good amount of healing, a little bit of spirit. Can't go wrong with this. And we're going to combine that with an offhand, and that offhand is the Unearthed Orb, 13 intellect, 29 healing, 10 damage done, and 5 MP5. So this combination right here will give you a total of 172 healing and 58 damage done. Again, not as much as the staff we saw before, so it is not as good, though this offers you a little bit more spirit compared to the staff, so that is nice. But even though this might be suboptimal, it's still a really, really good combination for you to get as a kind of fresh level 70 restoration druid that's trying to get into dungeons. But wait, there's more, because we can also combine that offhand with this, the Essence Focuser, which is a mace with 227 healing done, 76 damage done, and 11 mana every 5 seconds. So this one is just pure on the healing. It doesn't have any like primary stats like intellect, stamina, or spirit. It just has a ton of healing and a fair bit of MP5. And this combination will give you 256 healing if you combine it with the offhand, and also 86 damage done. So out of the 3 we covered so far, I'd say this is definitely the best one, because like the Healing Priest, druids really get a lot from just pure healing. That's one of the most important stats to focus on. But unfortunately, like I said before, this is a BOE item, so you're going to have to check the auction house. Based on my experience, they weren't super expensive, so you can pick them up for cheap. I'd say definitely go for it. The healing is on par with what you get out of normal, sometimes even heroic dungeons, so definitely worth your while if it is there for cheap. And then last but not least, we're going to throw in one more alternative here, and that is the Staff of Divine Infusion. 23 intellect, 50 spirit, 194 healing done, and 65 damage done. Also a really good staff for druid. It has the same healing as the Staff of the Redeemer, but this one I'd say is a little better than that one because it has 50 spirit. That's a ton of mana regeneration for your druid. Unfortunately, this is also a BOE item, so you're going to have to check the auction house. And out of the 2 combos, you know, the staff or the main hand and the offhand, I'd say the main hand and offhand is better because it just has a ton of raw healing as opposed to this one, which has a little bit more mana regeneration. So the other one is better, but this one is also a really good option. So let's say the Essence Focuser is really expensive, but this is dirt cheap. You can definitely pick this one up. You won't regret it. Okay, moving on to the idol. Now, normally it is really hard to find a nice purpose-built idol, but for the Restoration Druid, we were kind of lucky because we can get this Heralds Rejuvenating Brooch, or Brooch, or whatever you pronounce it. It is an idol that increases healing done by rejuvenation by up to 86. That's a lot of extra healing for your rejuvenation. So that's a really nice idol. It's not super hard to get. It involves the Nesingwary quest in Burning Crusade, so definitely worth your while. That's what I recommend for you to get for your idol. Okay, moving on to the trinkets. The first up, the Oshugun Relic. 53 passive healing done, 18 damage done, and when you use it, you get 213 healing done and 71 damage done for 20 seconds. Really great trinket. Like I said before, druids benefit a lot from just pure healing. It's one of their most important stats, and this one definitely fits that with 53 passive healing done and a nice amount of healing done when you use it, so definitely a great item for you to get for your Restoration Druid. Up next is the Heavenly Inspiration. When you use this, you get 238 healing done and 79 damage done. Also 10 mana every 5 seconds. So that 10 mana every 5 seconds, again, not ideal for druids. They prefer to have spirit, but you can have it all. And even without that 10 mana every 5 seconds, it still offers a ton of extra healing done when you activate this. So really great for emergency situations where you need to pump out a lot of healing. So these are the 2 trinkets I would definitely recommend you to get for your Restoration Druid. Moving on to the rings, and yes, these are also going to be the same as the Healing Priest. There's not a whole lot of choice out there, and the rings I've chosen for the Healing Priest are just too damn good to skip. That's why they're coming back here. Anyway, the first one is the Heirloom Signet of Convalescence. 11 intellect, 7 stamina, 5 spirit, 44 healing done, 15 damage done. A lot of healing on a simple green ring. It is pretty easy to get, so very little time invested to get this, so I definitely recommend this for your first ring. The second ring is going to be the Celestial Jewel Ring. 13 intellect, 55 healing done, 19 damage done, and 4 mana every 5 seconds. Would have been nicer if it would have been spirit instead of MP5, but you know, you can't have it all. And still, 55 healing done on a blue ring, not too shabby, will definitely help you boost your healing. So those are the 2 rings I would recommend. Moving on to the boots, the Cushy Cenarian Walkers. 16 intellect, 18 stamina, 11 spirit, 37 healing done, and 30 damage done. So definitely not a bad item to get. You can also get this pretty early on in Zanger Marsh. And it's also part of a pretty easy quest that requires you to get maybe one more guy to do it. So there you go. It's a nice item, pretty effective, pretty simple, but you know, definitely good for your Restoration Druid. Moving on to the pants, we're going to go with the Heralds leg wraps. Yep, these are also the same as the priest, and that's because they're just pretty damn good for druids too. They offer 29 spirit, 3 sockets, a socket bonus of 4 spirit, 24 healing done, 8 damage done, and 11 mana every 5 seconds. Again, I don't know why they put MP5 on cloth pants. I mean, both the restoration druid, the healing priest, they all benefit way more from spirit. But there you go, it has 11 MP5, that's just what it is. And also those 3 sockets are all red, so we get to have the socket bonus of 4 spirit. Again, that 4 spirit, definitely not too bad to have. And because we put some pure healing gems in there, we are having 63 healing and 23 damage done just on those pants. So that's really good for our druid. Moving on to the belt, we got the Dragon Maw Augur's Kinch. 22 stamina, 21 intellect, 2 sockets, a socket bonus of 4 spell damage and healing, and 18 damage and healing. Once again, a kind of a damage and healing item. We had to be a little creative here. Unfortunately, there weren't really any purpose-built leather healing belts, so we're gonna have to resort to this one as well. But even with this damage and healing item, those 2 sockets allow you to put some pure healing gems in there like I did, and it still pumps out 44 healing and 28 damage done. So definitely worth your while if you're still looking for a new belt for your restoration druid. And then last but not least, we got the gloves, the Cryo Mitts. 22 intellect, 16 spirit, 57 healing done, and 19 damage done. So definitely a really nice item for your druid. Spirit and a lot of healing. That's definitely what we want and exactly what we're looking for. So a really nice item. It's also not super hard to get. So that is what I would definitely recommend you to get for your gloves. And there you go, guys. That's all the gear I would recommend you to get for your restoration druid. Alright, and after all that gear, how much did our stats improve? Well, now that we have purpose-built healing gear, we have drastically increased our bonus healing. We've slightly increased our crit chance too, and both our mana in and out of combat have also improved significantly. So those stats are all fine and dandy, but how much can we heal with our spells with this gear? Well, let's check it out. Regrowth went from 1600 to 1850 healing, Rejuvenation went from 423 to 683 healing per tick, Wild Bloom went from 72 to 217 healing per tick, and the final heal of Wild Bloom went from 706 to 966. Definitely a lot better than what we used to have, and the biggest winner here is how much Life Bloom heals per tick. We managed to triple the amount of healing that does, as well as a really big bump in how much Rejuvenation heals for. So this druid is definitely ready for some dungeoneering, if I say so myself. It has a good amount of bonus healing, good mana regeneration, and should be able to heal the other party members just fine. And that's all for now, folks. We only have 2 other classes left to cover, and those are the Restoration Shaman and Holy Paladin. So tune in next time when we will talk about one of those. As always, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.